everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Chris Lee Kennedy, and this is the show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course, we give you insight into what it all means. Joining me, as always, is AMC Movie News Senior Editor, Mr. John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the show, streaming to you live from the Stream.tv studios right here in Hollywood, California. We're so glad you decided to make us part of your day, and I got to tell you this quick little story that involves Chris Lee. And she hasn't even heard the story yet. So I'm eating dinner the other night out and about. And Dennis and all of us, every once in a while, we're out to movies, somebody will come up to us, hey, you guys are an AMC Movie Talk and whatever. So I'm having dinner. This young lady comes up to me, and she goes, excuse me, you're John from AMC Movie Talk. And I mean, yeah. I'm like, yeah. And I know she's got a camera in her hand. And that makes you feel, that's pretty cool. That makes you feel pretty special when they do that. But I see she's got a camera in her hand, right? So automatically, my stupid ass thinking, oh, this nice young lady wants to get a picture with me, right? So she goes, you're John from AMC, right? I'm like, yes. And then she goes, oh my God, I love Chris Lee Kennedy. And so I'm like, oh, okay. Great, nice meeting you. So Chris Lee's very popular.
Aw, thanks for the love, whoever you are. I would have taken a picture with you. I'm just kidding. All right, and also joining us at the table is our very own AMC production manager, Mr. Dennison.
Hey guys, it's kind of lonely over here. Oh. Yeah. Yes, yesterday we had like a packed house.
Yeah, a full house.
And then now I have all this room here.
All right, guys. Well, accepting an award at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival last night, actor Jared Leto, who is nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the upcoming Academy Awards for his role in Dallas Buyers Club, was heckled by a person in the audience yelling that Leto didn't deserve an award because he had no business playing a trans woman when he was a man. Leto replied to the heckler, because I'm a man, I don't deserve to play that part, so you would hold a role against someone who happened to be gay or lesbian. They can't play a straight part? Then you've made sure people that are gay, people that aren't straight, people like the Rayons of the world would never have the opportunity to turn the tables and explore parts of that art. John, what do you make of this exchange?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things to think about when you look at this issue. First of all, what's going on with heckling at award shows? Yeah. Like it started with that. I was going to say something, but it started with Kanye West. Remember when Taylor Swift won her award, and Kanye West thought he was God, and he was so important that he had to interrupt her moment and jump on stage and interrupt her getting an award to spout his garbage. I mean, nothing against Kanye West outside of that, but that was a really douchebag moment in history. And then you had that pathetic excuse embarrassment to the critic industry, Armand White, at the, was it the New York Film Critics dinner?
Yeah, I think it was the awards.
And, you know, the director from the 12 Years a Slave won, and at that dinner, he starts heckling him on things like, people who think they're so important, I need to hijack this moment that belongs to somebody else. Never mind that I can just voice my own opinion on my own Twitter, my own Facebook. I can speak my mind whenever I want. No, I need to hijack your moment and do whatever. So anyway, some idiot decides at this award show at Santa Barbara International Film Festival to interrupt Leto to speak her mind. It's like, okay, so that issue aside, I hope that stops. This is a terrible trend. I hope that stops. Anyway, that aside, the whole issue, this brings up a bigger issue about, you know, should he have been playing the role? Should they have gotten a transgendered person to play the role in Dallas Buyers Club? To me, it's ridiculous. This whole issue is absolutely ridiculous. You know, sometimes shouldn't they have gotten an American guy to play Superman instead of a British guy? Shouldn't they have gotten this person to play this? It's ridiculous. It's called acting. It's becoming something you're not. Look, I've said this before, but I have it on fairly good authority that Michael Fassbender has never been a Southern slave owner. I have that on good authority. Breaking news. But guess what? He can play that in a movie, 12 Years a Slave, and give us an Academy Award-winning performance. You know? So I'm sure that many of the fine actors in Hollywood history who have portrayed Adolf Hitler are not secret Nazis, but they can play that role. So I think it's just a ridiculous scenario that they bring up and all that kind of stuff. And it's not just the transgender issue. Not at all. It's a wider issue of, oh, you know what? Sure, Ian McKellen. Should Ian McKellen have not been allowed to play Magneto because Magneto isn't gay and Ian McKellen's gay? That's stupid. That's absolutely ridiculous. So, yeah, that's my thoughts anyway. What about you, Ness? How do you see it?
Speaking on the heckling, you forgot to mention the 9/11 truther that went up and ruined, I think it was the MVP of the Super Bowl during his press conference. You didn't see that?
No, I didn't see that.
It's on YouTube. He just screams that. He's like, find out the truth about 9/11. It's like, what's wrong with you? First of all, I don't believe any of that nonsense anyways, but like you're making your case even look worse because you're doing something like that.
Yeah, time and a place. Time
exactly.
And a place.
On the subject of Jared Leto and the Santa Barbara incident, I think he gave a great reply because...
Oh yeah, his reply was perfect.
And it applies to what you were talking about with gay and straight. There's plenty of like gay people that are playing straight roles, and not to like burst anyone's bubbles, but there's plenty of actors that you probably think are straight that are actually gay, playing straight roles that you have no idea about, and they do the job fine. So I don't think it's an issue.
Yeah. Chrisley, we started talking a little bit actually back to you. How do you see this whole issue?
I got so heated up when I saw this because one, you're right. Heckling does not belong at something like this. And second of all, the last time I checked, being trans was that he was a man pretending to be a woman. So why a man playing a man pretending to be a woman is a problem is beyond me. But I just have to mention that I was at the Glisten Awards a couple years ago, and Joe Manganiello got up and spoke about Matt Bomer, who was getting a Lifetime Achievement Award. And he said, I can't wait for the day that I'm not presenting my friend as a gay actor. I'm presenting him as an actor. Actors are actors. It doesn't matter if they're gay or straight. Matt Bomer, a gay man, is playing a straight man, and he does an amazing job at it. So are you going to tell him he can't play that because he's gay? It's absolutely crazy and ludicrous, and I feel like some people are just looking to push buttons and get press on things that don't deserve press.
Yeah, agreed. All right, what's next?
Plans for a movie adaptation for the video game Uncharted are back on track. It's being reported that Horrible Bosses and Identity Thief director Seth Gordon has been selected to helm the film. Other directors attached to the project at one time or another include American Hustle director David O. Russell and Limitless director Neil Berger. The game follows a descendant of explorer Sir Francis Drake, a treasure hunter named Nate Drake, who believes he has learned the whereabouts of El Dorado, the fabled South American golden city, from a cursed golden statue. The search becomes competitive when a rival hunter joins the fray, then is ratcheted up several notches when creatures, actually mutated descendants of Spaniards and Nazis, begin attacking those hoping to learn the treasure's true secrets. Whew, that's a lot. Dennis, can an Uncharted movie with Gordon at the helm be good?
Can it be good? Yeah, it is an interesting choice just because his background is comedy.
Yeah.
He's directed these comedic movies and also television shows like The Goldbergs, The Office, Parks and Rec, Modern Family, and all that stuff. So who knows? We haven't seen him take on action yet. So that will be, I think, the hurdle for us as an audience. I think if he, since he's the director now, he should cast Nathan Fillion as Nate Drake, because I think he can embody that kind of Indiana Jones-esque, kind of charismatic, but also comedic at the same time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've said for a while, there are a handful of video game properties that I think have in them the narrative potential to carry a cinematic experience. And this is one of them. I mean, this is one of them. This has the potential. There's some cool narrative. You're right. There's inevitable Indiana Jones comparisons there because it's in the spirit of the Indiana Jones adventure stuff. And I really like your pick too, as Nathan Fillion. But as a geek culture, we can drop Nathan Fillion's name in just about anything and see it working. But really, this is one that could work quite well. So you're right though. The stark contrast of what Gordon has done up until now. And I like what he's done. I'm a big fan of Horrible Bosses. I liked Identity Thief. The TV stuff he's done has been really sharp. But it's such a contrast to a film like this that, let's just say I'd be curious. So yeah, mark me down as curious.
He also got his start doing that documentary, which I love, King of Kong, The Fistful of Quarters.
I totally forgot that he did that one, which is awesome.
Yeah,
that documentary is great.
But so yeah, he doesn't really come from an action, type of narrative.
Be interesting to see how it turns out. All right, folks, we reached that part of the show called Buy and Sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Chris Lee's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then Dennis and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Chris Lee, what do we got?
Wolf of Wall Street stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Jonah Hill are re-teaming again for the upcoming film American Nightmare. The film is based on the true story of Atlanta Olympic Games security officer Richard Jewell, who was a national hero following the bombing at the Olympic Park in 1996 and later had his life destroyed when he became the prime suspect in the bombing. John, buy or sell the sounds of American Nightmare.
I knew very little about this dude's story until just the other day, ESPN. I was watching a documentary that ESPN did on it in one of their 30 for 30 series. Heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. This dude saved probably 100 people's lives because he identified what he thought looked like a suspicious thing at the Olympics. They figured out it was a bomb, and he started clearing people out before that bomb went off. He saved people's lives. And for a few days, he was treated as a hero, and then all of a sudden, he became a suspect. And he became a prisoner in his own apartment because his hundreds of media surrounding his house, they literally tore this guy to shreds. Before he was ever arrested or anything like that, they destroyed his life. News articles and headlines started running about all these, about how he's such a horrible person. And they look at something like he owns guns. But the headlines are bombing suspect, long-known gun advocate and psychopath or whatever, right? His life was destroyed, and when he was finally cleared, didn't matter. His life was ruined. And he sadly passed away not many years after all that happened. But it's a story that shook me, and I didn't even know they were looking at making a feature film about it. When I read this morning, I thought, yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry, that's a really long answer for a buy and sell thing, but buy, absolute buy. Dennis.
I'm a big buy as well. This is one of those stories that I say that needs to be told.
Absolutely.
Needs to be told. And, we were talking yesterday, I think, about how image is crafted, especially in the very early stages. We're talking about movies. So This is far more important. This is a person's life. Yeah. And he did something that was, heroic for a lot of people. And he got, he just got, taken to task. Like,
he was eviscerated.
Yeah, basically he was called a terrorist.
Yeah.
And it's how the media works, where it's like, oh, suddenly you're labeled as something, you become that in front of millions of people, and then once they find out the truth, it doesn't matter anymore.
No, they just move on to the next story.
They don't need to correct the mistakes that they made. It's the headlines in the the 24-hour news cycle. So yeah, it's a sad story.
All right, but buy or sell the
I buy it. Big buy. Big buy.
It's easy to get sidetracked on this issue. All right, what's next?
I love that they're calling you Dennis the Menace in the chat board right now. Just had to tell you that because it made me chuckle. Percy Jackson star Alexandra Daddario has joined the upcoming Dwayne Johnson film San Andreas. Set in the aftermath of a devastating California earthquake, San Andreas follows a helicopter pilot, played by Johnson, in his quest to save his estranged daughter. Daddario can also be seen in HBO show True Detective. Dennis, buy or sell Daddario joining San Andreas?
I buy it. I love The Rock. I love True Detective. Before True Detective, I kind of knew who Alexandra Daddario was. After the second episode, I don't think I'll be forgetting her anytime soon. Anyone who watches that show knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, I mean, the story itself doesn't sound really that interesting, but the combination of those two, I'll see it.
It sounds like fun. Anne is my girl is a big fan of Percy Jackson. So that's where most people will recognize her from, is from Percy Jackson, right? But she's also a big fan of True Detective. I'm not a big fan of the show myself, but after the second episode aired, which you're talking about, guys, when you get a call from your girl, and I get a call from Anne, it's like, honey, I'm like, yeah, I just saw the most gorgeous naked woman I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, okay, this is the type of conversation I like having started. No, but it's like, okay, what are you talking about? And she was talking about her and that. But no, I think this is a great fit. This is going to be a nice film for The Rock. This fits into his wheelhouse, and I think she's going to do a good job in it. It looks like her career is really on the uptick right now, so I buy it.
According to reports, Matthew McConaughey is set to star opposite Ken Watanabe and Gus Watanabe and Gus Van Sant's next film, Sea of Trees. An American man takes a journey into the infamous suicide forest at the foothills of Mount Fuji with the intention of taking his own life. When he is interrupted by a Japanese man who has had second thoughts about his own suicide and is trying to find his way out of the forest, the two begin a journey of reflection and survival. John, buy or sell the sounds of Sea of Trees?
It's buying across the board for me today. I buy this. McConaughey is having his Matthew McConaissance right now, which is great. He's obviously up for his Academy Award. Ken Watanabe probably should have won an Academy Award for his performance in The Last Samurai. I mean, he's just awesome in everything. He's in it all. And this sounds like a great story. Nice director attached to it. This sounds like an Academy Award bait kind of movie to me. So for me, it's a buy.
All right, buy it as well. Matthew McConaughey, like you said, he's on fire right now.
Yeah.
He can't miss. And Ken Watanabe, I also loved him from The Last Samurai. And Gus Van Sant, I mean, he's made some pretty good movies.
Yeah.
I mean, Good Will Hunting, Milk, even Finding Forrester,
yeah.
which it was kind of a Good Will Hunting-esque
Yes, it was.
movie, not quite as good, but I still enjoyed it. So yeah, it sounds really interesting. I looked up pictures of this place. It's actually very beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. So I don't know why people want to kill themselves there.
Maybe because it's so beautiful. Who knows? All right, folks, we reached that part of the show called Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question that you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Now, after we're done the mailbag questions, if you're watching us live, and we do this show live at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday, and if you're one of the people watching us live right now and you're in the chat board, you can start firing in some questions in there. A lot of you already have, and we're going to take some time at the end of the show to take your live chat board questions. But for now, we've got some mailbag questions pulled out. Chris Lee, what do we got?
Fernando Fernandez writes, first of all you guys rock. My day isn't complete without getting my daily dose of movie talk. Campia, you're the man.
The man.
The man. After watching the Super Bowl trailer for TF4 in the beginning of the trailer, are we looking at Galvatron walking away from that ship? And I know I may be going crazy, but just to fit into the cinematic universe, if that is Galvatron, could the ship be Unicron or part of him?
It's a really interesting question. Okay, so here's the guy he's talking about. Let's bring up this picture of Galvatron, or what we believe to be Galvatron right now. So this is the guy. Now you see in the shot, Optimus Prime is like looks over his shoulder, and there's this little robot walking down the road with this giant ship behind him. And this is the creature we're looking at. And a lot of us are theorizing this is Galvatron. Now, for those you don't know, in the cartoon movie, Megatron gets wrecked. He's basically dead, and then Unicron comes and kind of resurrects him as this new guy, Galvatron. And then in the trailer, you see him transform his face into a cannon. And when you transform your face into a cannon, you win. That's just basically the rules of life. Now, the other part he's asking about now is, if that's Galvatron, could the ship behind him be Unicron? And what he's talking about is this picture here. You see the Galvatron guy, the little guy at the bottom of the screen. But then you got this, if that's Galvatron, who's as big as the house next to him, look at the size of that thing behind him. And now some people are theorizing that this could be the World Eater Unicron. Now, I have said for a long time that I'm not sure a Unicron proper, as we've seen him, where Unicron is basically a planet that transforms. Now, I didn't know if that would work in the movie universe because, I mean, that's just kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
What fights a planet that nothing? You can't fight that. But if you're going to adapt the Unicron concept down to something like this, that is just enormous beyond measure, just huge, but not a planet, not a moon, that could be a terrifying version of Unicron. I mean, really. Now, the other day on the show, when we were talking about this trailer, I said I didn't like that they had Megatron in it again. A lot of people were jumping all over me saying, John, you're so stupid. That's not Megatron, that's Galvatron, clearly. Well, I wasn't talking about this guy. What I was talking about was this shot, if you want to bring up this next shot here. If you look at this face, now I'm not saying guaranteed this is Megatron, but when I looked at this dude's face and you look at the coloring on him, aside from the big yellow thing in the middle of his chest, I look at that and I see Megatron. So this is who I was wondering if this was Megatron, not the darker metal dude that we see at the beginning of the trailer. So just clear that up a little bit. But anyway, Dennis, do you think we're looking at Galvatron and Unicron, or is that just fans, theorizing too much?
I'm not sure about Unicron, but yeah, it's weird. The picture with the ship and the guy walking,
right.
A lot of people were saying, oh, maybe that's Nemesis Prime. Because from far away,
yeah,
he kind of looks like Optimus, but a darker version. Yeah, that one right there. And if that other picture that looks like Megatron, maybe that is their version of Galvatron, which I think is kind of weak in the sense of you take basically the same design as Megatron, add a little thing, add a little color here and there, and there's your Galvatron.
Yeah, Galvatron's supposed to be a total transformation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the cartoon, he was a totally different. I mean, he had like a similar like cannon thing.
But that's it.
But he was like purple, and his face was different. Everything
and
about
Leonard
him was
Nimoy did his voice.
Exactly. So I think if this is Galvatron, I think it's a poor attempt at it.
I agree. All right, what's next?
Brian Watson writes, "Hi guys, I was just wondering how come you guys haven't been talking about Bruce Broughton getting his Oscar nomination rescinded by the Academy? I mean, someone losing their Oscar nomination seems pretty big to me."
Well, I mean, yeah, but at the time it was such a small story that I didn't really want to address it. But when you wrote in that question, I thought, you know what, maybe it is worth addressing, and here's why. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, this dude, he's an Academy Award nominated composer. I think he was nominated for an award back in the 80s or 70s or something like that. Anyway, one of his songs was nominated for this year's Academy Awards. And don't even get me going, I believe the best song category needs to be taken out of the Academy Awards altogether, but that's an issue for another time. So his song got nominated, but here's the problem. He is a former governor of the Academy. He sat on the executive board of the Academy, and he's a current member of the executive branch of music in the Academy. So he holds a very high position in the Academy as it is. Now what happened was it got revealed that in his position, he started emailing the 293 other members of the branch that is voting on Best Song category in the Academy to just bring their attention to the fact that, hey, his song has been submitted for consideration for this award. And that is an abuse of his position. I'm sure he probably didn't mean anything by it. I'm sure he wasn't trying to be nefarious. But when you hold that kind of position of influence, you cannot send out a message and then communicate to the people you have influence over when you're in an award category. I have no problem with him on his own merits getting nominated for the award, even with his position. But when it came to light that in his position, he emailed the voting members about it and to encourage them to look specifically at his submission for nomination, that brings up the perception of corruption. And I gotta say, this is one of the reasons why I love the Academy Awards. As flawed as it is, one of the reasons I like the Academy Awards, you know, everybody likes to throw around these conspiracy theories. Oh, the Academy just didn't like this, or they just wanted to give this guy an award. And that's all fantasy, that's all fairy tale. And I love the fact, and I respect the fact, that when something like this came up, that does have the smell of corruption, even if he didn't mean anything by it, that it can even be perceived as corruption of the system, the Academy stepped up, took action, and took the unprecedented step of rescinding the nomination because they can't even allow the perception of corruption in this, of impropriety. And I love the fact that they identified it and they took care of it. And it was the right move. And I feel bad for this guy. Maybe his song would have been nominated anyway. But you can't do what he did when you're in the position that he's in. And I think the Academy took the appropriate step. It makes me respect the Academy and the process even more. So I think they did the right thing.
For me, it's, I think, more of a gray area. I think he definitely did something he probably shouldn't have been doing. And it's more of their concern that he was the governor of one of the bodies before.
Yeah, he was one of the Academy governors, and he's currently on the executive committee for music.
Yeah, I think that's where the big issue is, because we've had a previous incident. You had the Hurt Locker producer did a similar thing. When the Hurt Locker was up against Avatar, he sent all these emails to a bunch of colleagues and saying, no, don't vote for the big giant blockbuster Avatar, vote for Hurt Locker.
Right.
And he got banned from the Academy Awards. The picture didn't get rescinded,
right.
But he got banned. He couldn't go to the awards. So who knows? I mean, there definitely should have been some sort of penalty for him, but I'm not sure if taking away his nomination was it. I don't know. Maybe they should have banned him as well or something like that.
Yeah, it's difficult, but you're right. The key element here is who he is,
yes, and
the position he holds in the Academy, and that, you know, if you allow this nomination to stand, then that just opens up the floodgates for everybody to start questioning every nomination. Is it just whoever certain key people in the Academy want to get nominated? So I think they got to be really harsh with this, and yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think it's what they had to do. All right, folks, that'll do it for our mailbag stuff. But listen, we got a few minutes left, and I know there's lots of you guys in the chat board, and I see the chat board flying with questions. So Crystal Lee is our gatekeeper. She will decide. She is, as George W. Bush would put it, the decider. She will decide what questions get on the show now, so you can suck up to her. But Crystal Lee, what's being asked in the chat board?
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to start off with a super fun question, and I cannot find who asked it anywhere because it's going so fast. But where would you rather live, Metropolis or Gotham?
Oh, neither. Neither. Both the cities are constantly targeted by supervillains and big plots of mass destruction. I don't want to live anywhere near Gotham or Metropolis. Thank you very much.
I'd live in Metropolis, and I think you would too at the end of the day, just because, one, I know you don't really care for New York City,
right?
So, because it's dirty. Gotham's pretty dirty compared to Metropolis.
True.
Metropolis is
true.
a lot cleaner.
Yeah.
And then two, you do have Superman who, Batman's great. I love Batman, but he can only be in certain places. Superman can almost be in like multiple places at the same time. So I think he could, take care of more crime that way.
Yeah, I want a longer life expectancy though, so I'm going to avoid both cities.
I love it. Okay, a lot of people in the chat room are asking about our thoughts on Dwayne Johnson as Green Lantern. I've seen this since the show started. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I've been avoiding this because it's just... It's one of those things that, because on an Instagram thing, I think this was even on an Instagram picture, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's an Instagram picture he actually put up 3 months ago, but just nobody noticed. And it was a picture of him and a producer buddy that are really good friends, and just one of the hashtags he put, unconnected to anything, one of the hashtags he put on the picture on Instagram is, John Stewart could whoop Superman's ass.
Yeah.
That was just like a random hashtag he put on an image. And now in typical, internet frenzy fashion, everyone's like, oh, The Rock just gave us a hint that he's going to play John Stewart. Now, we know that The Rock has been talking that he's planning on doing a DC property. He will be in the DC universe at some point, some way. That's no doubt. But I think this is just mob frenzy mentality. And that's why I didn't run it as a story, because it's not a story. And who knows, maybe The Rock is going to be John Stewart. He's going to be somebody. But I don't think a random hashtag he dropped in one of his Instagram pictures had any meaning about anything. That's just my thought. Dennis?
I've been saying I'd rather see him as Lobo. I hope they do a Lobo movie at some time, and and that he plays that. I think his personality and how he looks fits that much more than John Stewart. I think it's a big mistake, though, for Marvel to let The Rock... The Rock is like a franchise unto himself.
He really is, yeah.
That letting him go to DC, because I think if they brought him into the Marvel fold, that they would be able to utilize him brilliantly.
Really well. Remember, he was lined up. The Rock was lined up at one point to be in a Shazam movie playing Black Adam. I would still love to see The Rock as Black Adam. I would love to see him play a villain, and I think Black Adam would be a great villain for this universe, but then that gets into the Captain Marvel question again. How much magic do they want? Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we're supposed to be doing these rapid fire. What's next?
Rapid fire. Okay, we also have very many people asking about the trailer of A Million Ways to Die in the West and what we think about it.
I thought it was pretty funny. I thought it was pretty funny, but I didn't get super pumped up about it because it really was just a random collection of various jokes from the film. And they were funny, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be, I loved what Seth did with Ted. I thought that was brilliant. And so I'm really looking forward to it. But I wasn't blown away by the trailer because, just random shots of random jokes throughout the film. And specifically the Red Band trailer. Like the restricted trailer was quite funny. But, it didn't knock me off my chair, but I'm really looking forward to the film.
Yeah, I saw the Red Band trailer as well. I thought it was funny, and it's interesting. I think this is the first movie, not that he directed, but he's the star of, right? If I'm not mistaken. Seth MacFarlane. So that's another thing that we have to look into once the movie comes out. Can he carry a whole movie?
Although I will say this, all the actors, it's a Western, right? All the actors look like they fit in the movie, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Seth did not, he did not look like he fit in that environment whatsoever. And maybe that's going to be part of the gag. All right, what's next?
The Goose81 says, hello from Salzburg in Austria.
Woo-hoo.
Are there any news about a He-Man movie? I think it was supposed to be called Grayskull, but haven't heard anything about it for a long time now.
Yeah, the director from G.I. Joe, John Chu, he was signed on to direct a new He-Man movie for quite a while. But then when G.I. Joe 2 got greenlit, or G.I. Joe 3, which will be his second film, then he passed on it. The studio's taken several runs at it. They've had several scripts written for it. They want to do a Masters of the Universe movie. I think they're just having a really difficult time, and it's understandable. This is a tricky property to do, because you do He-Man right, you got a 5-film franchise that could make lots of money. You do it wrong, it's dead in the water, you'll never recover. So they're taking their time with it. No doubt it's coming, but I think they're still kind of at the drawing board stages of right now. Have you heard anything different?
No, I heard the same stuff.
All right, what's next?
John Chu's been really busy working with Justin Bieber, so he
might
be
available so much
for
Bieber
He-Man.
stuff to do.
Just saying. Michael Gardner wants to know, will Disney ever buy the Spider-Man film rights? And if they did, would Disney put him in the MCU?
No. Never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Let's just get that straight. Not because Marvel would not be interested in buying back Spider-Man. Sony will never sell him. So because they are printing their own money with the Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man movies just make cash. So why would Sony ever want to give up with that? So you got to put, if you're Sony, you're going to sell Spider-Man, you got to put a price tag on him that reflects over the next 15 years the money you would make on that character. And at that point, it just ain't worth it for Marvel to get him. Marvel's got tons of characters. They don't need Spider-Man. Let that sink in. Marvel doesn't need Spider-Man. They're doing really well without him. They don't need to pay $3, $4, $5 billion to Sony to get one more character that they could have made all that money with anyway. But what it comes down to is Sony will never sell him. Never. Anyway, Dennis, how do you see it?
Yeah, unless Sony becomes bankrupt and they have to sell off individual parts of their business.
But even then, they'll just spin off the corporation parts. That's like Microsoft did. You know?
Yeah. But Marvel, they're not going to pay. Let's say Sony does want to sell it. So Marvel's not going to pay the price that Sony's going to ask for, because having Spider-Man, as weird as it sounds, in their current universe will only add X amount of percentage to their bottom line. So it doesn't really make sense. You're going to pay whatever, let's say $1 billion for Spider-Man, but you're only going to make X amount, a few $100 million. It just doesn't make economical sense.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
The Hoovman 81, will Maleficent fail as bad as the last live adaptation, the monstrosity known as Snow White and the Huntsman?
Well, keep in mind, Snow White and the Huntsman didn't exactly fail. It wasn't. I didn't like it as a film. It had its but I didn't think it was a horrible movie. I just didn't like it, and it made money. So it's not really that big of a failure. But I don't get the same worry about Maleficent that I had for Snow White and the Huntsman. This looks really good. Other than those CGI fairy godmothers, I think this looks really good, and I know Disney is very excited about this film. I have a feeling it's going to be quite good, and I got a feeling financially it's going to be quite a success. What do you think?
I didn't like Snow White and the Huntsman either, but I actually liked the trailers that were coming out before the movie actually landed, and there are redeeming qualities. I actually like the kind of the design of everything. It just ended up being really boring. Maleficent. It's a different company, right? It's a Disney and Snow White, so I'm not too worried. Yeah,
I'm just bringing it up here. Snow White and the Huntsman, worldwide, I'm just trying to get the numbers to come up here. Worldwide made about $400 million.
And they were talking about a sequel.
Yeah, and I think they are going to do a sequel.
Yeah, if you're talking about a sequel or you are doing a sequel, then obviously it wasn't that big a failure.
Yeah. All right, let's do a few more.
I actually liked it. Nicholas Cruz wants to know, what do you think of the rumor that Dr. Doom might be a girl?
Let's put it this way. I give it no thought. All other things being equal, I want my Dr. Doom as Dr. Doom. I don't want them to change the gender of him, but I also wouldn't, shake my fist at the heavens and scream why, unless I saw what direction they were going with it. So I would rather just keep him, but otherwise, and I don't really think that's what they're doing.
I don't think they're going to go that route either, but I don't have a big problem with it.
Right.
Richard Crump, thank you for the wonderful comment about my Jared Leto statement. And your question is, are we getting a remake of Grapes of Wrath?
At some point. Grapes of Wrath is kind of like Sense and Sensibility or Jane Eyre or whatever. It's one of those things that probably every number of decades will be remade. So I have no doubt we're going to see one again.
Yeah, sooner or later. It's like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, I'm not aware off the top of my head of one being in production right now. Not that I know of. Maybe one is, and you guys can mention that in the chat board. But if there's not one in the works right now, I have no doubt.
When was the last one? 40s, 50s?
I can't remember, to be honest. There might have been one in the 80s,
really?
actually. Yeah,
I don't think I saw that one.
Okay, me neither.
Time for a new one.
Yeah.
Thomas Pastorfield says, thanks for the great show. My question is about Thanos. Has there been any casting in regards to who will portray the Mad Titan? If Vin Diesel isn't confirmed yet, could he really be playing Thanos?
I have no doubt that Vin Diesel is certainly a possibility for Thanos. I mean, remember, Thanos is also going to be kind of like Groot. You're not going to see Vin Diesel's face, if they have Thanos. Thanos is going to be heavily CGI'd, so it almost doesn't even really matter who's playing him.
It's just the voice. It's really just the voice, and maybe Vin Diesel will do it. It's like I forgot the character's name, but Manu Bennett from Spartacus was in The Hobbit, the second one. Actually, both of them.
Yeah, he's in The Hobbit. He plays the Defiler. What's his name?
The White Orc with the one hand, and like you can't tell that it's him. It's all CG, and I think that's what Thanos is going to be like.
All right, let's say two more quick.
Matthew Unruh wants to know if we will ever see a Goon movie. I think it's a great comic, and I think it could be a really good animated film.
If I'm not mistaken, I thought I heard that the movie rights for Goon were picked up and that it might be in development. So look into that, but I've got a buzzing going in my head that was picked up and is being developed by somebody.
Didn't they do a test animation or something
They may have. They may have.
I think I heard of that.
Yeah. Okay, another one.
Juan Montanez says, hello from the Puerto Rican guy. Hey, AMC sons and daughters. So do you guys think that eventually the Guardians of the Galaxy will appear with the Avengers? If so, how? Thanks.
It's really hard to say when we haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I don't know how they're going to tie it into the main part of the universe. It's certainly a possibility, like within this universe that they've created. But at the same time, they don't need to. Marvel doesn't need to. I mean, if they do an Avengers 3, how many people are not going to see Avengers 3 if Guardians of the Galaxy aren't in it? None. So, in theory, how much more money would Avengers 3 make if the Guardians of the Galaxy were in it? Theoretically, nothing. No more extra money. So I don't know why they would.
I'm purely speculating, but I'm saying they are going to be in Avengers 3. This is purely on my opinion.
I wouldn't bet against you.
I think because, if anyone's read the Infinity Gauntlet, they need as many superheroes as possible, and they're missing some key ones. Like Silver Surfer and Spider-Man, a few others that they aren't going to be able to use in that. So I think Guardians of the Galaxy is going to come and fill some of that space.
Okay, just as a bonus, let's do one more, just as a bonus, then we'll get out of here.
Christopher Marabella, is the Sin City sequel still happening? Do you guys think there should be a sequel?
Oh yeah, the film's done.
Yeah,
it's done. I can talk about it for a second. I'll look up the release date.
Yeah, it's done shooting. I think almost done editing, or maybe it is done. They're just holding it back for a better time slot, I think. I think originally it was supposed to come out this past year in 2013.
It was supposed to come out in 2013, then they bumped it in 2014. Right now it's set for an August 22nd release date. So yes, Sin City: Dame to Kill For is coming in AMC theaters everywhere on August 22nd, unless they bump it again, but it's done and it's in the can. All right, folks, that will do it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, it's a great time right now to go to a movie. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com to see all your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. And listen, if you want an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video. You'll find links to our Stitcher and our iTunes so you can listen to us on the way to work. And don't forget, if you haven't done so already, take a second and click on the subscribe button. I want to thank, first of all, the guy sitting at the table with me today, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero, on YouTube, ThinkHero Pro, and make sure you go see the Lego movie this weekend. It's so good. So good.
Our lovely host today, Miss Chris Lee Kennedy. Chris Lee, where can people find you online?
You can find me at the theater tomorrow seeing the Lego movie, and you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Lee and the Movie Chick on Tumblr.
And you can probably find me tomorrow at the Marina 6 AMC Dine-In Theater watching Lego as well. And by the way, guys, listen, if you're a fan of Arrow, me, Ann, and Kaori, we do an Arrow after show. So you can find my YouTube channel, John Campion's YouTube channel, and you can watch us after you watch Arrow tonight, because that's just kind of a fun thing we do. And you can find me on the various social media networks at John Campia. So that'll do it for us, folks. Thank you so much, especially all you guys who are watching us live. Don't forget, we'll be back again tomorrow. So my name is John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until then, bye-bye.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.